We're always eager to share with you local authors and local books released here in the Charleston area. One author I want to welcome into the show, Rod Rogers, who
Hi,
recently...
Nick.
Hey, welcome to the show, by the way. Thanks for being on with me.
My pleasure.
I want to talk about your new book. Our friend Doug Coop gave me the lowdown on what you're releasing here. This is his latest book, if you can see that. It's called Where To Now, and it's actually set in the local town in Charleston, which I think is always cool when you're able to read a book that gives you familiar surroundings, and you can kind of place those characters on the very streets and sidewalks and in front of restaurants and other scenic places around town. I always think that's really neat.
Well, Charleston's very definitely a character in the book. I like to, talk about Charleston. Such a special place in so many ways, but it does have its other side, just like any other big metropolitan area. And so I do the underbelly as well as the overbelly. But in the end, I think Charleston is such a terrific place, and it's such a great setting for a book, movie, whatever you want to do. So Charleston is very much a part of it.
Have you begun working on the movie yet?
Working on the idea.
There you go. Hey, one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
What an accomplishment to publish a book, though. That's so cool. It's available at the typical outlets.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble,
okay,
and on my website, rodrogersbooks.com.
Hey, we have that website up, by the way, rodrogersbooks.com. Go there. You can learn a little bit more about the book, learn a little bit about Rod as well, his background, how to contact him, in fact, if you want to get a hold of him. So tell me a little bit about this book. I got to admit, I haven't read it. I haven't had time. We set up this interview, kind of got a good feel for what it was all about, and thought it was pretty neat. So if you could give us just kind of some background on it.
This title, Where To Now, is something we all ask ourselves. As we go through life, and as you've been through much life as I have, you meet these crossroads.
What are you pointing to?
My little
your
wife
brain
here.
Or your hair?
A little bit of both, I think.
A little bit of both, okay.
Both a little fried. But, I did this setting where I took a character who's in the legal profession. And
not out of the realm of possibility here.
Not out of the realm of possibility here.
Especially those Broad Street lawyers, right?
Yeah.
That's famous here in Charleston.
He was once a prosecutor, but he went into another part of the law so that he could make money, because he has all of these obligations, and it starts out with all the things that fall down on his head. And he has a very good friend over at the Charleston Police Department, TJ, who has an enormous story in himself. He came out of the projects. And that's one of the things I like to do. I have 4 major characters plus many, many others. But I want you to understand who these people are. There are stories within the stories. They're all interesting and dynamic in their own way.
That's what makes it.
Yeah. And then out of Lynn Ariel's past comes this man. They call him Billy Jack. Billy Jack is a very sinister, very cold, and very interesting man. Lynn tripped him up and sent him to prison, and he's back, and he wants to do something about it. But the difference is he's just not another street thug. This man is highly intelligent, diabolical, plays by no rules. He has enormous resources, and he is mad. But he's mad in a way that he's not crazy mad. He's not going to come up and just smack you side the head. He has all of these resources, and he gets into all of these people's lives, and he jerks them around something fierce. Another part of Lynn's world comes in as he tries to do a personal injury case, multi-millions of dollars. And all of a sudden, these two things are connected. And it just weaves on and on and on. And you think you know where it's going, but you don't. And Billy Jack keeps showing up. Billy Jack keeps showing up. But he is such a diabolical but very interesting character.
Wow.
So
you got me hooked.
Well, the thing is,
let's stop. All right, I gotta go read it now.
The thing is that every part of your life, my life, but particularly these characters' life, because all of a sudden they are not in control, and they're always asking themselves, where to now? Have you ever asked yourself that?
Oh, of course.
Of course you have. But this takes it in. You might call it a thriller, but it's more about people, how they confront major tasks, major challenges in their life. Most of us won't have something like this, but here is this man. He gets into this moral ambiguity. The world which most of us live, you know, we have this extreme evil over here, and a man named Billy Jack. We have the very, very good over here, Mother Teresa or somebody. Most of us live in between. And Lynn finds himself constantly saying, okay, because of his profession, you know, he's always pushing that dynamic, pushing it to see, okay, what is the moral limit? And that's very much a part of it. I ask, what is the moral limit?
Wow.
So
that's a heavy question to ask. It sounds really interesting, Rod. You know, hopefully I'm not suspecting that you have all these characters in your life. This is more nonfiction than anything. You don't have to answer that question. Okay. But anyway, your inspiration for this, I read your background, and we're running short on time, but you've kind of done it all.
A little bit of everything, a little bit of everything.
But this was your passion. This is what you wanted to do,
this
right?
is what I do. Later in life, I actually went to college on a football scholarship, and later got an MBA and kind of rose up in the corporate world. And I discovered something one day.
What was that?
I had a brain. I was thinking. I went back to I used to read a lot when I was a little kid. I mean, I read some pretty heavy-duty stuff when I was around 9, 10, 11 years old. And then years went by, only textbooks, things like that. And then so I came back and I remember the first book I read called Apache Chronicle. I got very interested in Native Americans. I even spent some time in South Dakota on an Indian reservation. And then I just started reading everything. And then, gosh, I have a brain. And
you want to express yourself too.
Yeah, and this is the outlet for it. The novel can be such an all-inclusive, all-encompassing art form. Most novels are not that way, but when you look at the great novels, The War and Peace, the Moby Dicks, Ulysses, things like that. I just recently read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. Incredible book. And those are the kind of the inspirations, the kind of thing that you want to strive to do.
Well, hey, I think it's impressive that you not only put out one book, you've got a couple books out there. Yeah. You're a Civil War buff. We could go on and on. This man's very interesting. But check out his new book. It's called Where To Now. It's available at all the usual outlets. We've talked about that, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble as well.
And great cover by a local man named David Mandel. He did a super job on that.
That's very cool. Hey, and it's set in Charleston. What better reason to pick it up today? RodRogersBooks.com. You can also learn more there as well. We want to thank Rod for being on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Hey, if you're interested in this book, remember, you might have learned about it here first on Port City.